So this idea that like Twitch will essentially protect me, like they're having a hard time protecting themselves right now. They can't fight this battle for you. Oh my god! Oh my god! Let's get things started right away, since we're running so late already. Late for a very important date. Okay. This week, we're going to talk about my favorite subject on Twitch, DMCA. My favorite subject, GJC, as many of you guys have known, is got the nickname DMCA King of Marbles. And it's well deserved, as I am someone who blatantly flaunted it during my pretty much my first year of streaming. I would say everything I did was DMCA, but not so much anymore. So we'll go into that, and at the very end, after we go over some things, I'll explain my personal approach to everything. But this is less of nitty-gritty details of like the laws and stuff like that, because I'm obviously no DMCA expert, but I will give you guys like a kind of an overview of what I've learned, and at least give you guys the first few steps as to the steps you should take as far as educating yourself in this issue that we all have to live with. If you're online, especially if you're creating content, it's very important. So you all have to go through it. I am not the end-all be-all source of any of this information. This is stuff that I've learned just because I'm a streamer and I've been paying attention to what's been going on, and I just want to lead you guys kind of down your own path as you discover more about this issue yourself, because I think everyone who is streaming or creating content should educate themselves if you intend to keep on doing it. So, okay. Sounds good. See, the DMCA is outdated, right? We'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah, exactly. We'll talk all about that. So let's go to DMCA. What is it exactly? What does this stand for? It stands for the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and it was created in 1998. I'm gonna post links for this if you guys want, but there's actually PDFs from the government websites, but I will make sure to post those all in comments, or not comments, in the description on YouTube. But here's a copy of it. You can peruse it if you want. It's pretty dry. There's really nothing that would interest most people, you know, but just so that you have a look and you can see what the bill actually looks like. So where did what's the point of it, and where did it come from, and stuff like that? Why was it created? I'll give you like the brief thing about it is, and what it does is essentially it covers all sorts of digital media. Covers everything from music to pictures to video. It's digital media essentially. It's copyright for all digital media that's used online and internet. It was originally created more of as a liability issue to limit the liability of larger tech companies, such as like search engines and hosting, like website hosters and things like that. It was just to prevent it so that they wouldn't get in trouble, actually, for like linking. Like, say Google linked you a page that had copyrighted stuff on it. It was actually more to protect companies like that than it was to than the way it is used now, where it seems more as like a way to like punish people, or like it seems way more aggressive now, I think, than it did when it first came out. I don't think when they first did this legislation, it was necessarily to like go out there and get people, as it feels it is now, right? If back then it was more to protect people so that they had the kind of a clear-cut line of like how much is one website responsible for content, kind of, and leaking content. So it's like, yeah, Google is just a search engine, but are they going to get in trouble for linking and taking you to like a website that plays that digital copyrighted music, right? That doesn't belong to them. And so it's more to protect companies than anything else, I feel. And then obviously it's also to protect creators and artists and stuff like that. So there is like that. It doesn't just apply to like larger, more popular artists, right? You know, it could just be anybody. It could be just, let's say, an indie photographer who saw that took some time to take some really great pictures, but then saw somebody was using it without their permission and not paying for it. Like it just as well works for the large scope people and the people on the high end as it does for somebody who's new and independent and on the smaller end. So it protects everyone across the spectrum. Yeah, exactly. At the Cybernetic Kraken, you're totally right. At the time when something like this was created, content created websites like Google, like, like streaming stuff like Twitch and YouTube didn't even exist back then. So like this stuff was not created for going after like Twitch and YouTube and things like that, right? That was never the intent of it. But yes, it protects both creators big and small, covers all types of media from music to pictures to video. Okay? So I kind of want to dive into like the history of what happened with Twitch and why it matters now on Twitch. Now that we kind of covered like where this kind of bill came from, where this copyright law came from. As far as I can remember, maybe it was like 2018, 2017, right around then, was the first time I could remember Twitch coming up with a large scale DMCA strike issue with a few streamers. I remember this kind of briefly. This is probably when I first started on Twitch, so I don't remember it perfectly. But I remember around 2017, late or 2018, a lot of streamers were already getting hit with DMCA. Most of them were getting hit with it on their VODs, right? And so I remember that was like the last time there was a big flare up about copyright music. And then like occasionally there would be small sporadic ones. But the first time I can remember is in 2017, there was already something kind of like this. But it was mostly in VODs that people were getting striked for. So a lot of people would end up not recording or saving their VODs. And things like that. And then we didn't really have a big problem and another big scare that was like site-wide until this year, or not this year, until 2020, right? And that happened in June. So this is the tweet that happened. This was in June of 2020. And they talk about it. So this week we've been seeing an influx of takedown requests from background music from 2017 to 2019. If you're unsure of your public rights audio, stuff like that. Okay, so they sent out, this is like the big notice that happened in June of 2020. And I remember when it happened, a lot of people were getting essentially copyright striked for clips instead of VODs. Some clips so old that like it just seemed kind of crazy because they went back for several years. They weren't even like recent clips. They were clips that were like being striked from years and years ago. And also, we were under the impression that some of us were under the impression that like we were going to be protected. But I'll get to that too as well. But essentially, we were getting clips that were years old that like some of us couldn't even search and find for if it was our own channels, because we have thousands and thousands of clips. So it was like stuff that seemed like so random and not just completely blindsided, it felt like. And some people got DMC striked 3 times for clips that were stupid old. If you didn't know the policy behind how it works on Twitch, is if you get 3 strikes, they essentially close your channel down. They only gave you like 3 warnings, and it was easy for that to happen, right? Because like clips are so short, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of clips that most people have, and the way for us to manage clips was like terrible. right? It still is. There's no way for us to really manage all of our clips if we're somebody who's been streaming, and a larger size streamer especially, for several years. So in June, we had this huge problem where, you know, a lot of people started getting banned, and a lot of people had to make a decision or start making that change, right? I will say I did not make a change in June, really, but I'll get to that later. Then came around October. A lot of us got this little notice right here. I know I got it in our email, which is essentially Twitch informing us that something in your content was flagged for DMCA. They said they deleted it. It's either one of my clips or one of my VODs, somebody's clip or somebody's VOD. They deleted it without really giving us a chance to look at it. Apparently it was a one-time warning. Now this is I think this email, which was sent to a large amount of people, I think was like, it might have caused some panic at the time when it initially came out, right? And it did cause a bit of uproar because, and controversy. Some people felt like it was an obvious ploy by Twitch, to essentially push Twitch soundtrack, which we'll talk about later what that is. And then some people also felt like this could have just been like their last warning, right? Which is what they're saying is that since June, that big uproar in June, they halted all claims or were slowing them down, and then they were resuming them again in October. So they decided to resume. They said they were going to start in October to resume what they started doing in June. Essentially caused, I think this was like the final straw for many people. And I think it served as final notice for most of us that like Twitch was not going to mess around anymore, you know? It was kind of their way of saying like, we can't, now everyone knows, right? Like that's kind of their last final thing, because they sent it to so many people. I got it. I know so many of us got it. Some of us got away without getting it, which is crazy in my opinion, but there's some people who got away without having to be notified of this, but I know a lot of people, most of the streamers I know got this email. Most recently, in December, and this is a great article on The Verge, shout out. Most recently, there was a bill introduced as part of like the relief package in December. Essentially, this was added in like a supplement to like DMCA, and it's like an update that said that essentially this freaked out a lot of people in December, that like it would become a felony, that DMCA could become a felony, right? And that you could actually be like put in jail for it. This of course like caused a lot of us to panic. Turned out it was a big like to do with nothing, because as you can see from the title of this article, it's the felony stream measure is aimed at piracy, not Twitch streamers. So that was a huge relief. But look at this not so much as like a cause for panic or whatever, but look at this as like a legitimate warning for you to see that this is something like legislation of this sort is constantly being updated or is trying to be updated, and there's a movement for it to be changed, and that like the status quo that we see now may not be forever. So the way that things are right now may not last forever. Things are going to change probably. All right? Because there's always laws that are changing, always people in the industry or lobbyists or different interest groups pushing for these type of laws to change. So it's important for you to stay updated on what is happening. You know, just be aware. That's all it is. I just want you to be slightly aware, right? It's like when U.S. online poker went from gray area to banned to legalized by state, right? So this stuff is going to change. And this is to let you know that now that this is even becoming a point where people are becoming aware of this, like politicians and stuff like that are becoming aware of this issue. So it's not like it's not going away. It's just gaining even more attention as people have moved so much into the online space. And Twitch particularly, the last year. So it's always changing. Okay, so let's talk about how does this affect like Marble streamers, right? And you're like, well, GJC, this is a update about Marbles, not just Twitch, right? Well, it's about Marbles, it's about streaming, it's about a little bit of everything, right? And that's why I wanted to talk about it. But I think the reason why I think it's kind of important to Marble streamers is Marble streamers are like, the majority of us are kind of like hangouts, right? Everyone has always said that streaming Marbles is very similar to like just chatting sometimes. And in essence, there's a big overlap in it, right? A lot of the times, most Marble streams are like hangouts. Like you chill, you roll some marbles, you take it easy. It sort of attracts a certain group of people and a certain type of people as well, right? So, the chill marble hangout is a very typical stream, that you hear, especially in the community. And I think another thing you have to remember with Marbles is it doesn't have a soundtrack. It's actually one of the few games, if you think about it, that doesn't have a soundtrack. Think about all the games that you play. Is there any other game that you play that doesn't have a soundtrack? Have you ever thought about that? I like, if you really think about that, it'll amaze you that pretty much every single game you play has a soundtrack. Chess, sure. Chess.com doesn't have a soundtrack, sure. But that's like, I guess it's played on a website or it's played on several different types of platforms, I guess. And chess, I think, is sure, it's kind of like a thing on itself, right? But yeah, for the majority of games that you play, or video games that you play, I feel like chess is not just a video game, though. It's a legit game. It's like a real life game. Anyways, for the majority of video games you play, you can't find an example where there's no soundtrack. Most games you play have a soundtrack. So it's very like easy for us, not easy, but it's like automatically people, because of the fact that the game doesn't have any music or soundtrack or anything like that, it's very easy for us just to inject, or like there's an obvious need for sometimes for us to fill the void of the sound between speaking to our community with like music. So it's like you could see how easy it is for us just to be like, oh yeah, then I'll just play some music with this game because the game doesn't have music on its own. Most of us, like, let's say you play Hearthstone, you play League, you play Overwatch, you play any other games. Usually all those games have some kind of soundtrack or something along those lines, right? Not necessarily a soundtrack per se. I guess some first-person shooters don't have soundtracks, but a lot of them do. So it's easy to see how people would want to play music while playing Marbles. On top of that, last week we talked about how a lot of Marble streamers essentially try to create an immersion experience with Marbles, right? They're trying to make their stream into a Marble stream and entice more viewers to come and play Marbles with them, right? And part of that sometimes is music. For example, I have, as you know, a lot of introductions, and I used to have a lot of trailers that I played before certain tracks that I played. And a lot of those introductions had music in them. They would be Frozen soundtrack music, or Expanse, or other things of that sort. And then let's say I did a track that was 100% Frozen themed, right? It was a wintry themed, and I had overlays that you've seen I have before, and they have Frozen overlays on it, and I would play the Frozen soundtrack. And that would be like the immersive experience that I gave to people. And I wasn't the only one who did that. There was people who did like special theme songs. For example, Spoo did a Cosmic Chaos. He would play a copyrighted song by the Baggy Raiders, which has become kind of known as the official Marble song. But he'd play that every single night. A lot of us had like theme songs that we would play, regularly to start our stream or to end our stream on as well that were copyrighted. So this all is how easy it is for, I think, as far as the immersion experience with Marbles, to incorporate things like music. But that's kind of how it affects Marble streamers as well. Is I want you to keep in mind that we don't have music in the game, and it's just very easy for us to want to play music while we're playing this game, just by the pure nature of the game. So what alternatives and what is it that you can do? Let's say you make the decision and you go, okay, well, like I still want to fill that dead silence. So how can I stay within compliance? How can I stay in compliance and still, how can I stay in compliance and still enjoy music? Right? What is it that I gotta do? Luckily for you, there's several different alternatives and other services that can provide you with music that you won't get in trouble with, right? You're like, I don't TLDR GJC. Tell me what I need to do. I was not listening the last half hour to what you were saying. So tell me what it is I should do. Okay, what other alternatives do you have? You have other services such as Monster Cat, Pretzel Rock, Stream Beats with Harris Heller, NCS, Twitch Soundtrack, Pogify. Okay, we'll go over all those. Monster Cat, Pretzel Rocks, both of those are various levels of paying, but essentially both of them offer like a 1 month fee for music that you could play on your stream or use for your content, and without having to worry about getting copyright striked. I think Pretzel Rock is actually free, but there's like a subscription that you could pay for a service that I think unlocks more. And then there's other people who produce music specifically for the purposes of like letting people play it on their stream and making sure that they don't get copyrighted. NCS is one of those companies, or like, one of those people or companies or sources that you could find non-copyrighted source music. Harris Heller, who's very famous for this issue and probably one of the people at the forefront of this fight, created Stream Beats, I believe. So he has that. That has like a bunch of music that you could use. That's the music I use regularly as well. I highly recommend you connect with artists personally as well. There's not just artists that you can find that are famous like that, but artists that you know personally, either online or real life, and see if there's something or other arrangements that you can work out, and if they have music that they're willing to let you play on their stream. I know somebody, Bear Cozy. I play his music every single day on stream, especially in the beginning of stream. So, and his music is completely copyright free. He's just a new artist getting started, so he's not gonna copyright strike you, and he has playlists for that reason specifically. Pogify is something that I found recently. Pogify essentially is a website that lets you group listen Spotify. So if your viewers have Spotify Premium, they can open up a secondary tab with a link that you give them that lets them listen along to what you're listening to on Spotify. And then finally, we touched base on this a little earlier about what happened in October. So Twitch Soundtrack came out in October. Twitch Soundtrack is essentially music extension created by Twitch for us to use. Everyone can use it for free. It is more like a radio than anything else, because you can't like search for songs. It's like you go to a station, you're like, I want to listen to pop, and they'll just play pop music, but you can't like really search it. Right. Essentially what it does is it separates the music, because it's a Twitch extension. It separates the music from your VODs, so that when your VODs are recorded, it doesn't have the music. It's kind of like a loophole, as they say, they're working around. And I'll explain to you the issues with that as well. But yeah, those are some alternatives that you can use and kind of research and see what it is you enjoy. I essentially created a whole entire playlist of non-copyrighted music that I play. And I think most streamers are gonna all starting to do that. Let's talk about some of the pitfalls, I think, and like rationales and traps that a lot of streamers are falling into, and I just want to like kind of clear the air and get those misconceptions out of the way. So first things first, the most common thing that most streamers will say about like DMCA and why they don't like, they're not worried about it is they're too small for them to care. You're like, I'm too small of a stream, like they won't go after me. That's like the biggest lie. Like they don't, that I'm gonna tell you, that doesn't matter to them. Like you're that in the sense that your chances of getting quote unquote DMCA'd are smaller, sure, because of just sheer volume. Like somebody's gonna more likely to see a larger streamer like DMCA have like a play copyrighted music than they are to see you. You're like, no one watches me and I'm not a thing. But you also have to understand the way that they're looking for clips a lot of, or looking for DMCA stuff to strike you with is like it's done through software, right? So it doesn't really matter if you're small or big, like the software will still get you. And it's like very smart software. So it doesn't, like, that's not what protects you. Like, just because of the size of the stream that you have, right? You can't be like, oh, I'm a nobody, and they're never, like, the software doesn't recognize that part. It will get you no matter what. Another rationale I think a lot of people say where they're like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if they shut me down or whatever. You obviously do care, because, like, you're streaming. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a lie to yourself, you know, that, like, you're like, I don't care if they shut me down. Like, first of all, if you're watching this, you care enough, obviously, to watch this. Second of all, like, anyone who's taken the steps to kind of become, like, an affiliate or anything along those lines, those first few steps, some of you aren't, and maybe you really don't care, and I'm not saying there isn't that issue, and there isn't that possibility, but most people who go as far as to, like, become an affiliate and take and spend time to build a community and then, like, regularly stream, they obviously care enough to, like, do it regularly, enjoy it regularly, and you don't want to, like, have that taken away from you because it's that easy for them to do it. All right? And so, like, think about that as well. Oh, finally, another thing, fair use. Oh my god, I gotta talk about this. If I don't talk about fair use, it will all be for nothing. So a lot of people are under the impression that, like, everything is fair use. They're like, oh, well, if I add my own little twist to something, then, like, it falls under fair use. What you need to understand is fair use is, like, that is not determined by you. That is determined by, like, as a means of defense once they, like, take you to court. Like, you don't, like, you can't just be like, oh, it's fair use. Like, you don't decide that. That's, like, decided by a court or a judge, right? It's not going to stop them from suing you and taking you to court and copyright striking you. Which, like, if it ever goes to that point where you have to use a fair use defense, you've already spent thousands on legal fees. By the time you've already arrived to the point where you could say I'm using fair use as a defense, like, you've already wasted thousands of dollars on, what, playing a song on your stream? Like, so that's, like, don't think that protects you in any way. Now, is it true that when they look for to copyright strike you, they have to do an evaluation of fair use before they issue a copyright strike? Yes. The people who, like, make a claim, they have to, like, make an evaluation as to whether or not you fall under fair use. But that's more of, like, I would say it seems like that's more of, like, a thing that's, like, a routine issue thing. Yeah, it's more of a routine for them. Like, they're just going through the motions than it is, like, are they actually evaluating? Who knows? It seems like they're just going through the motions. Like, if their software has caught you, you know, and the human looks at it, and then, like, I mean, how much time are they really going to spend? You have to wonder, to look at your case by case and be like, is this fair use or not? No, they're probably going to be like, yeah, he played the music, all right. Issue the strike. Like, that's it. There's no, like, how you think about how much time that somebody's going to really dedicate to evaluate your case before they put out a request for you to get DMCA striked. If that was your job and you're like one of 60 people hired by like Sony to go over that, do you think they'll spend that much time to really evaluate how well your fair use is? I'm just being realistic. Like, they're still going to send out, it seems like you're still going to get struck. As long as the software catches you, they're probably going to request a DMCA strike from Twitch, right? Oh, some of you will be like, oh, I only play covers of songs. That's another one I hear a lot. People are like, oh, I only play covers of songs, so it's totally okay. Or I only play other people on YouTube or Twitch who are playing covers of songs and things like that. Like, I don't use like legitimate quote unquote sources of music. It's like not Taylor Swift singing that song. It's just somebody else singing Taylor Swift, or it's not really somebody's original version of like the person who wrote it. It's a cover of the song with the same lyrics and whatever. That doesn't protect you either. First of all, you're not protected in the sense that like there's all sorts of issues as to licensing. Second of all, you don't even know if you have permission from the people who sang the cover to show that song or to play that song. Like, if you think about it, those people might have copyrighted on their like the cover of that version of that song as well. Right? They paid somebody the licensing to be allowed to cover that song. And then, of course, they're going to protect it themselves, their version or their recording of that song. So just because it's a cover of a famous song sung by someone else doesn't mean that you're still safe on that end. That cover might be copyrighted too. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Right? You don't have the permission. Like, you're like, oh, this is a YouTube streamer or whatever, and he's just playing music. You don't know if you don't have the permission from him directly to play his music and stream it onto your stream. Like, he could still request a DMCA strike on you from Twitch. Yeah, and the songwriter, there's all types of, that's exactly what I'm gonna go over next, is there's all sorts of different types of copyright issue and copyrighted licenses, right? There's essentially 3 that you need to know about, but 4 kind of that are major in the industry, right? And I could go over that really quickly, actually. And this is like the nitty gritty of it, right? So BMI, which is one of the organizations, there's a bunch of these music organizations and music industry organizations who are all responsible for going out there and looking for essentially protecting the rights of artists and creators with DMCA. So BMI is one of those organizations. RIAA is another one. There's tons of these, right? But this is the BMI website, and essentially explains the different types of licensing that goes out there, right? So there's a performance license, which is what Twitch has for most record labels. But keep in mind, a performance license is essentially saying they have the right to perform a song at their venue. What is the venue? Twitch. Like, the whole website is their venue. Twitch has told us that they went out there and got performance rights from all the record labels that they could find, right? Is that, like, that's the part that they have covered, is that they have the rights to perform songs. So that's why you could say people who are doing like performance artists who are singing on Twitch and doing things like that, they apparently have a performance right to sing those songs because Twitch has taken the step to go out there and license and grab the license for that. Now, there's a lot of like gray area in that because they have to individually go to all these organizations responsible for performance rights. They have to cover their bases. And those bases are not just in the United States. Those bases are international. You may be safe in the United States, but who knows if you have the performance rights in like some of the other smaller countries or other countries that Twitch is able to reach. That's like a big question, right? And essentially, the way that Twitch has kind of gotten its loophole around it is that typically when you have something like that, you're supposed to be reporting, like, you're supposed to be taking the time to report like what songs are performed and things like that. But Twitch is like not doing any of that, right? They just essentially send that money to like imagine like an imaginary black box account. Right? The money that they're paying goes to like a black box account because they're not giving the people any data as to what's performed, right? And then that money is supposed to be split among all the artists, like, depending upon the chunk the artist gets. So like, even if you do play a smaller indie band that has like licensing or whatever, the chances of them getting money from it is like, no, that money goes to like the big boys first. You know, like that goes to Taylor Swift, it goes to Drake. Even though there's no record or data whatsoever following or recording who gets played more or what. They're just essentially playing like a blanket amount of money with no record keeping. Which they're allowed to do. And so you could see how like Twitch is like essentially made itself a target in the industry, right? It chose not to disclose any of that information, right? So you could see how like the record industry is like upset with Twitch already for doing that. Second thing, two other things that you should need to know about: mechanical rights and sync rights. Mechanical rights are things like recordings, meaning transfer the music onto like a CD, a DVD. This is like what a lot of music players have, such as like Spotify. They have a mechanical right. They have the ability to essentially, it's like a player, right? Or an app that lets you play music. That's part of that falls under mechanical rights. Twitch says that like Twitch soundtrack doesn't fall under that because you can't make your own playlist or search music. They categorize themselves as like more radio. And I'll touch in on like what radio is. And then finally, sync rights. Sync rights means like the ability to synchronize your music with new things. Like if you want to make a soundtrack to a TV show or a film or a stream, essentially. So Twitch also says with Twitch soundtrack that they didn't need to bother with sync rights, right? Because they fall under essentially this another loophole of theirs, because they said that the music isn't being recorded. It's like just being broadcast for that first time, right? And then there's no save version in Twitch soundtrack because they've removed the music from Twitch soundtrack to be not on the VODs or any of the recorded clips. So they say they don't need a sync license. So that's like another chunk that the industry normally would be biting out of that they're not like paying for. So out of the three things that they really needed to worry about, they only worry about that one thing, and they're not even doing a very good job of keeping track of that one thing. So you could see how they like the industry is just looking at Twitch and being like, and we're all like on it right now and working on it. And, you know, like that's the company that's the platform we're on, right? Is that it chose not to deal with two out of the three things that they needed to deal with. Finally, there's something like called master licensing. It's not listed here, but I'll go over it. It's essentially the license from like the studios and the people who own the master recordings of music, right? So back in the day, in order to generate interest in their artists, the record companies would just send radio master copies. It'd be like, yo, you want to play our artist? Here's a master copy of our song. Like, and they gave it to them for free too. So this is kind of why there's like this tradition that radio doesn't have to pay for a lot of this stuff, is because it comes from when radio first started, that these record industries and record companies came to them and just gave them free master copies to play on the air. And that's why kind of Twitch soundtrack falls into that loophole as well, is because it categorizes itself as like internet radio. I think what I'm going to leave with is, as far as Twitch soundtrack goes, is that you have to understand also that the technology exists out there. Right now, Twitch falls under kind of like what we call safe harbor, which is that it's doing essentially enough to stop copyrighted stuff on their platform, right? It's essentially being listed as it's trying hard enough. It is trying hard enough to get copyrighted stuff off their platform. So it's essentially been able to hide under that umbrella from being attacked by the record industry for some of the practices that it's doing. How long they will stay under that protection is like, who knows, right? Like, we talked about earlier, laws are always changing. And there is indeed a lot of laws and a lot of people lobbying to push Twitch out of that umbrella so that they can come after Twitch, and the companies could come after Twitch. Because the truth is those companies who own the rights to the music, they're not trying to come, like, what are they going to get out of us who are small streamers and even larger streamers? They, like, it's pennies compared to what they can get out of Twitch and out of other larger platforms, right? They already did their fight with Google and YouTube years ago. So it's like, now that Twitch is seeing all these extra eyes, they want to make sure that they get the proper, due from Twitch as well. So this idea that, like, Twitch will essentially protect me, like, they're having a hard time protecting themselves right now. They can't fight this battle for you. Like, their recommendation already, if anything, like I said, if that notice that happened in October, if anything, that's to tell you that, like, they can't protect you. They're like, we're trying to figure stuff out on our own right now to protect ourselves. Like, we don't have time to, like, in order for us to stay under safe harbor, we have to do this stuff because they're just trying to save the website from getting attacked by the record labels and all the studios from pushing them out of the safe harbor umbrella. A lot of people will say, well, I delete my VODs and I don't allow clips. And Twitch does that thing where they mute my VODs anyways, because Twitch uses, like, their own software, ACR cloud type of thing, where they essentially it uses software to recognize whether or not you're playing any copyrighted stuff on your stream, right? And then it mutes the VODs. But that can only protect you so much, Right now, because of the fact they fall under safe harbor, right now they can't do this, but do know that the technology does exist out there that they can, like, just instantly strike you. There's a button out there that they could just press to issue a strike live, right? They don't have to use your VODs. They don't have to look at your VODs. They could just copyright strike you as you're going live. The only reason why they haven't done it yet is because we fall under the fair, Twitch has fallen under the umbrella of safe harbor right now. Like, they followed enough of the rules for them to push that off for the time being. But that could change at any minute, right? Which is what I'm saying, is laws are always changing. Lobbyists and interests are always trying to push for things, right? So that could change at any minute. Any minute, they could just decide to something will change, and then suddenly they could just start DMCA striking you as you're live with the use of Twitch soundtrack, because you don't have the sync light, or they somehow designate that you don't have the sync rights or the mechanical rights to play it. Or, yeah. It's that easy. Something could change instantly. A small little thing, and then suddenly Twitch is no longer safe. Don't think that just because you delete it, or you mute it, or Twitch has muted it for you, that they still can't catch you. Like, the software is already out there. The software is so good, like, it will not only search for it live for you instantly, it will also make a recording of it on their own website and help you essentially fill out all the information that you need in order to file your claim for DMCA. It's that good. Like, it goes through everything for you, essentially. It does, like, all the hard work for you. You just essentially have all the stuff and all the links that you need and everything separate of Twitch. Like, the website and the server itself records the stuff out and then saves it on their website. It's not on Twitch, right? And also, if you didn't know, you could find deleted VODs and deleted clips on Twitch. They have a ghost server that that's accessible to them, because there's no reason for Twitch to delete your stuff permanently. That's part of the agreement that you made when you became an affiliate, is that you, like, gave them your brand. Everything that you created on the platform, they own, essentially. So why in the world would they allow you to delete good content or any content? Like, they have it saved somewhere. So, like, that stuff is accessible not just to Twitch, but to, like, normal people as well. If you know how to access the ghost server, you could still look for it. And you know who knows how to access the ghost server? Those people looking for DMCA strikes. So, like, deleting your VODs, muting your VODs, all those other things that you are, like, telling yourself that could protect you, they can't. They may for the time being, but they may not. That can easily change, as we talked about. So, think about that. finally, I'll go into like explaining the decision to my mate. You guys understand, like, after now that I've explained to you what I know and everything that we've talked about this last hour, I'm going to explain to you, like, with the information that I know and all the stuff that we just talked about, why I came to the decision I did, right? So, even though DMCA at this point is mainly for audio, there is also the possibility in the future that it could be for other things, like pictures, any video that you play on your stream and things like that. That's always going to be a possibility, and that's something that you have to keep in mind, and that's something that I'm keeping in mind and watching very carefully as well. But for the time being, I made the decision not to play copyrighted music. In June, I didn't really pay it any attention, but then when I got that email in October, I made the decision to stop. So yeah, I don't think any streamers are the main target of DMCA takedowns. If anything, it's only the top percent. Oh yeah, of course. Same thing with Twitch and Facebook. Even though you can delete posts, it's still on their server. Right. Those websites are like meant to data collect, right? Like Facebook, Google, they're all data collectors. Why would they allow you to delete your data? Like, you're just giving it to, like, that's what makes them valuable. That's how they make money, is to collect your data. So why would they allow you to delete your data? So yeah, the decision I made was to stop playing music. What's more important for, like, my advice to everyone, and like this is my last piece of advice, I think, is to like educate yourself. If you're a streamer and content creator, is to like educate yourself. Like, this is just like kind of a primer to like dip your toe in, but like take the time, do your own research, make your own decisions, like make an informed decision, right? Whatever decision that you, at least that way, whatever decision you make, like, it's informed, right? Even if you know all this, and even if you go through all this and you're well aware and you're well versed in it, and you still make the decision to do, to still play like copyrighted music on your stream, that's totally fine. But like, go into it with your eyes open, right? Don't be, you just like, it'd be a shame if you were blindsided by this, all right? At least when they finally ban you or shut you down, you were like, you know why they did it, right? Does that mean you're going to sing to us? I mean, I'm a little scared. I mean, even though Twitch says they have a performance license for me to use, I don't know if I do really have a performance license. What if I don't have one in Timbuktu or Outer Mongolia, or I don't know, I could still get in trouble. So yeah, the decision I made is that I'm not going to play copyrighted music. I think for me, it's that it's easier to change now than it will be later on when it's forced. It already feels like it's forced upon me, right? So like, the harder it is it's going to be much harder if I want to change later. So I might as well start now. I deleted all my clips because in October they presented you with this button that essentially allowed you to delete all your clips. So I deleted all of those clips, even though it's still on their Go server. But I was like, I don't even want to, yeah, I just chose to delete it all. It's just that now I don't have to worry about it, right? From now on, when I won't ever have to worry about the stuff that I've done since October. It's like, I think it would be much harder to change later on. There's always the music that's in the public domain library. Yeah, like older music. Right, and that's what I'm saying is you do your own research, find other music that you can play with so many different alternatives that you have, right? Be aware of what Twitch soundtrack is. A lot of people use it, but be aware that that's not necessarily like a foolproof plan. That's like more like a band-aid on a bullet wound. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but like, be aware of what that is. We've gone over the issues with it. Yeah, that's DMCA kind of in a nutshell. I'm gonna provide I'll make sure to provide links for all these articles and things like that. I'll in the comments, or in the description, I mean, so you guys know, you can check it out yourself. Very interesting, not gonna lie. Yeah, do your own research. Honestly, that's my best advice. Educate yourself. Be aware. Just know what you're doing. If you make the change now, it's much easier now, early on, than I think it will be later on. Like, right? If you're unwilling, like, you have to understand you have to work on this platform, right? And follow the rules. There's really nothing to it. All right. Marble events of the week. Let's do this. Mondays, Record Hunters. Ooh, I got a poster for Record Hunters finally. Where is it? Record Hunters. Oh, look at that. Okay, Record Hunters. Set a world record. Get 250 coins every single Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Baxcast TV. Mondays, every Mondays, hosted by Shen's TV and Baxcast. Make sure you guys are there. Yeah, you finally got me a poster. I love this poster. It's hilarious. 2 of them. I love it. It is definitely taking off, so make sure you guys check it out every single week. Finally, next Mondays we also have, what's Bax thinking? I have no idea, Rod. That's a good question. Mondays, every single Monday, Emote Extravaganza hosted by AV. You play in his tournament, and if you win, you get an emote. Or you could get his marble skin. I believe. Those are the choices. So check it out, 6 to 9 every Monday, which is, I guess, just ended like an hour ago. So make sure you check out AV every Monday. Next we have Warrior Wednesdays with Final Ross Battle. Every single Wednesday at 3 p.m. It's a sponsored event. Coins are up for grabs. Make sure you guys are there. Final Ross Battle. Every Wednesday. Warrior Wednesdays. I love it. Then we have Thursday. Thirsty for Taylor Thursdays on this channel. Every single week. All the GPs on Thursday on this channel are for booze money. So make sure you're there. Thirsty for Taylor Thursdays. You won last week. Yes, you did. Except for Mikey, you're underage, so I hope you got milk money and not booze money. Yes, if you're underage, it's milk money. We've decided that. Which is also a great movie that everyone should watch, starring Melanie Griffin. January 22nd, MSLA race, 4 p.m., hosted by Ender's World. The Scoville 300. Ooh. Hot. It's hot, hot, hot. I think hot sauce will be involved. Top 3 will be winning the MSLA marble skin over there, as you can see. It's beautiful. It moves. It's an animated skin. Like the checkered flag moves like a flag, actually. It's kind of cool. Let's see. Also on Mondays. Or not Mondays. Also on Fridays. Every Friday, the pizza tournament on this channel. From 7 to 10 Eastern every Friday night. Whoever wins the tournament gets spin on the pizza wheel. The wheel has all sorts of prizes. It's sometimes you win pizza, sometimes you win pizza with cookies or cheesecake or popcorn or hot dogs / sausage. But yeah, some Lou Malnati's pizza, yes. I'll win some loose. Well, every single week you get a chance. There you go. Let's do. And then after that, on the 23rd, Saturday, Shibuya Gaming, studio artist Shibuya Gaming, is hosting Gaming All Day and Marbles Tournament, celebrating his, I believe, is this his anniversary? Yes, 6 years of streaming. His anniversary, sorry. I'm like trying to read it on the other screen when I have it like literally in front of me as well. Or I could have it in front of me literally as well. So Shibuya Gaming, Saturday, January 23rd, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. So there's going to be a marbles tournament. The tournament, he says, starts at 4. Top 10 win his marble, and top 3 will win some coins as well. Here, let me move this. There you go. Now you can see that better. Says, yeah. So tournament starts at 4 p.m. Top 10 will win the Enders, not Enders, the Shibuya Gaming marble skin. And then top 3 will win the pixel by pixel coins. There we go. So make sure you check out Shibuya. Following that, December 23rd. Also, not December, January 23rd. Why do I keep saying December? January 23rd. On the 23rd, we have at 1300. What's 1300? I'm assuming that's like 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Eastern. Dex D3 Dex. With special guest Comzer TV hosting a 50 euro cup, a marbles tournament. Make sure you guys get there. Yes, it's 1 p.m. Okay. 1 p.m. Eastern. D3 Dex. Make sure you guys check it out. January 30th. Saturday of Shame. Oh, so this is a thing now. Every single Friday, not Friday, the last Saturday of every season now, Dave will have a sponsored event, Saturday of Shame. So the last Saturday of every month, Dave will be giving out 500 coins and 3 to 4 of his marble balls. So marble skins. So there's a chance. Top 5 will be winning the Leonard skin. Top 3 will be getting 500 coins. Or they're a share of the prize pool. There we go. Cash and 500 pixel by pixel coins for the top 3. So, January 30th. Yes, I was getting to that, Sesmita. And finally, Marblefest. Oh, well, not finally, but Marblefest also January 30th. Starting with Pixel by Pixel Studios at 8 a.m. And then goes on to the January 31st. And it will be, the last person will be Spoo at 2 p.m. But you guys can go over the full list. Or I'll read it out. Sure, why not? Pixel at 8 on Saturday the 30th. Shens will be at 10. Jarumba will be at noon. Gingerbread Beauty at 2 p.m. Eye Blackish at 4. Almost Yeti at 6. Standards got the 8 o'clock p.m. slot. Eternal Enigma at 10 p.m. LT is going to take over at midnight on Sunday. Wootball's got the 2 a.m. slot. Teddy Gun got the 4 a.m. Moonshot 6 a.m. Bubble Babs 8. Headsnap 10. Jaylee at noon. And then finally Spoo finishing it off starting at 2 p.m. Top 25 racers from each stream will be getting the exclusive Marblefest Season 20 skin. As you can see, pretty cool. And then top 3 will also be getting pixel by pixel coins. As you can see. 300 for first, 200, and then for second, and then 100 for third. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's our end of the season finish. Here's the poster I made for Jay. Check it out. Hers is from noon to 2. It's got the moving Santa. February 2nd, Yusuf is doing a track build tournament. Deadlines are on deadlines end February 1st, right before noon. Make sure you guys check it out. 3 things that you have to include: the heart, the twisty tube thingy, the jump with the angles. We talked about this last week, but make sure you guys, if you're interested, you sign up for it. You could check out the rules. He's got it on his Twitter, or I'll also link it in the comments as well. But yeah, if you're interested in that, make sure you check it out. Finally, Twisted Indies also doing a track builder tournament. Begins February 7th. Featuring 7-week series, 1 track building challenge a week, no need to stream, no judges, just points for meeting objectives. Weekly stock track file provided. No upload required. Anyone can participate. Nice! So far, he doesn't have any... He's not quite sure what the prizes are going to be. But just something to keep your eye out for. I like that. This is like another way for you to do a track builder challenge. He's doing a series. I love it. Make sure you guys check it out. If you have questions, Twisted Indie can be reached, I'm sure. This will be fun. It might be interesting to participate in. 7-week series. Woo. I like it. Season 1 begins February 7th, 2021. Our Marbler of the Week, Sasmita. Sasmita, even though I say Sasmita. Sasmita is probably really how it should be pronounced. Let's see. He found marbles in Season 18 when his friend in real life told him about the app Twitch. So that was the summer of 2020. And then he downloaded the app on Twitch, the Twitch app, and then that's how he found marbles. And he says now he's addicted to it. Yes, like so many of us. Greetings from Germany. Hello. Hello, Carl. Simon, I can get in there. And then my favorite track. I asked him what his favorite track is. He says his favorite track is Pleasant Great Discovery because he made it for GJC's pizza tournaments. That's really nice of you to say. You didn't have to say that, Saspita. That's really nice of you to say. I appreciate that. And I do appreciate you making me a pizza track here. We could look at it because we're going to talk about it. He said he made it for my pizza tournament. I should like run it way more, shouldn't I, for the pizza tournament then? I asked him what his favorite memory from marbles is. And he said he really wanted to be a grinder streamer leaderboard and a viewer leaderboard one day. But right now he can't do it due to work and school. He only stream about 2 to 3 times a week due to that. And he says he wants to be good at map making. So he talked more about the goals that he had, I think, more than his best memory so far. I guess it's a relatively short marbles career. No best memory yet, Sasmita. What's your best memory? You could answer it right now. What's your favorite memory so far? What have you learned from marbles during your time so far in the community? I asked him the question was, what have you learned so far during your time in the marbles community? And he said he's learned a lot since season 18, but here are some things. Let's see. He didn't know about energy. He didn't know about building until last season. And he says mainly his tracks are crank maps for grinders, but he also made some plur maps as well. When he first started building tracks, he didn't really know anything about them, and he just started messing around. And then he said he learned a lot about track building from Sheds, which I think we all have. Are there themes or inspirations that you draw from your track building? And he said that I asked him, what are the themes or inspirations? He says there's no themes or inspirations that he goes for. Sometimes it's just a random map and he posts them. Though lately he's been making some plur maps for Sanity Damage. But most of his maps are for the grinders, which I totally can relate to. Most of my first maps, I feel like, were made for grinders. I asked him what Easter eggs he wanted, or something that he wanted to highlight on one of his tracks. He said that the pizza was what he wanted to highlight, so you guys could see. Not a real Easter egg per se, but definitely appreciate the nod. And then I asked him if there's anything he wanted to promote or tell the community. And he says me and Standard might have a mini plur tournament specific with plur maps sometime in the February. We're not sure yet, but check the Pixel by Pixel Discord for news. And hopefully when there is news, he'll let me know ahead of time and have a poster that we could share. So there you go. Thank you so much, Sasmita, for being our Marble of the Week and creating this wonderful track for our pizza tournaments. I really appreciate it. You're above all else and all the things I asked you. I don't think what summarizes it is that you're a wonderful member of the community and you support many of us. Even though you're newer to streaming and you're newer to track building, just in the short time that you've been in the community, you've already made a lot of good friends and you've supported many of us in the community. So we really appreciate that. And I know I appreciate it, and I'm sure most of my fellow streamers appreciate that. So thank you. 30 seconds. Get your marbles in there. You don't want to miss this! Exclamation mark play. If you're going to get in a race today, this is the race you want to get in. Right meow. Exclamation mark play. You want to get in a race, this is the race you want to get in. Let's go. She tells me that I was like, oh man, I hope I don't miss my own race. If you're gonna get in a race, this is the one you're gonna get in. We'll do 3 more races. I'll make sure you guys get your tiers, but after that, I think we're gonna raid somebody. I'm not gonna leave you guys hanging. Please let us vote when it's done. Sure, we'll vote. Yeah, well, Bob, you gotta remind me like right before that though. Like you can't remind me now. I'm gonna remember in like a minute. You all know how bad my short-term memory is. Ooh, this is cool. I do love this part where it goes through the portals. And then like shows up here. Falls through that sets of portals. And then comes back onto the track. It's clever. And you spelled out pizza, which is what's important. Pewter scams. Pewter scams. In the lead. Right behind is Carl. Jeeds is trying to catch up. Looks like it's Pewter scams for the win. Followed by Jeeds. Carl. GJC. Rod. T-Man Sanchez. Hey, T-Man Sanchez. Nisi Day. Mikey. Come on, Purple Toe, you Quantum. CSS Mita back there as well. CSS Mita. Cybernetic Kraken. Diablo Bob. Alright. Pewter Scams. Pewter Scams, do you have a marble? Oh my god, we forgot to vote on it! Oh my god, so scuffed! Oh, I'm the worst. But we're gonna favorite it, and then on Friday, we're definitely gonna play it, and then we're gonna vote on it. I'm the worst. Anyways. This is why I was like, you guys need to tell me when to, like, later at the end, not during, at the beginning. Oh my god. Alright, anyways, Pewter Scams. I was so busy trying to get Pewter Scams. Pewter Scams, do you have a Marbles on Stream account? Do you have a Stream account? Marbles on Stream account. Oh, yes, you do? Perfect. Would you like 200 coins? Yes, please. Okay. I will talk to Pixel and see if I can arrange something. Let me take a screenshot. There you go. That's the end of the episode, guys. Thank you so much for being here and watching. Race it again. Are you sure that's okay? I will do it again. Yeah, let's run it again. You're welcome, Pewter Scams. Thank you guys so much for being here. I know it's like not... Today's episode was not necessarily marbles per se, but since it's Marbles on Stream, I just thought I want to give it like my take on it. And everyone always jokes that GJC is the DMCA Marbles DMCA king. So I just thought you guys want to hear my perspective on it, what I know about it, my kind of view and take on it. Hopefully it encourages you to educate yourself on the issue, right? Okay. We'll do 3 more races so you guys get your tiers. Yeah. Thank you so much.